All right, guys. Another day, another yearly high for Bitcoin. Did you survive the Darth Maul sell-off? Were you one of the brave few who managed your position size and your leverage correctly? Did you refuse to sell the bottom when the panic scurried new traders into a terrible trading decision? Are you paying attention to the macro, the technicals, and the fundamentals? Have you survived since the 2018 bear market until today? Then you might be ready for all the gifts that a Bitcoin bull market can bestow upon you. Now, excitement aside, this is the time. If you've been sitting on the sidelines, I talk to so many people every single day. If you've been sitting on the sidelines watching the market pass you by and you have not begun learning how to trade properly to take advantage of the situation, now is the time. If the 2019 gains passed you by, if you sold the market bottom in January 2019 only to watch price explode from 4,000, you can still do this, but you have to start. And you're in the best place to begin, guys. Let's get cracking with another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin.
Hello everyone, my name is Silvio Micali. I'm the founder of Algorand and I'm proud and happy to be here with this edition of Breaking Bitcoin.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live for you here in the studio. Today is it's Thursday. It is Thursday, January 30th. 2020, foul year of our Lord. This is your daily source for market updates, sentiment, and news for traders. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic, whether you're watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you want to support the show, make sure to follow us on social and subscribe here on the YouTube channel if you have not already. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Mike Novogratz and his bullish premonitions. We're going to be talking about BCH and the 5.5 hours it took to find a block. We're going to be talking about the new all-time hash rate, but most importantly, we are going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin, the overall price of the market. Been doing this for a very long time, guys. I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I have seen all sorts of market cycles, and it is still healthy and good and awesome to be in the right place at the right time. I've said it many times, when you trade in the right direction of the market, good things inevitably happen. You trust in your system, you put the work in to build a system, and the system returns rewards. It is fantastic today to receive so many DMs on Discord, to get so many messages on Twitter from either premium members or people who follow the show, who are glad, who are doing well in this market, who are profiting. And I'm just a huge shout out to you guys. This show has been amazing to do. I want to thank my team. They are the best team that I've ever worked with. They're the best group of guys that I've ever worked with. And they make all of this possible. And the members make this possible. All you guys watching at home make this possible too. And I'm really happy to be here. And yeah. Enough waxing loquaciously. Now, as you guys know, let's do premium member updates, which we do. This is for the premium members. Yesterday's mentoring session, it was great. Thank you to all the premium, advanced, professional, and elite members who came out for that. We took a deep dive into hedging. We took a deep dive into Pine coding. Did about a half an hour. I just pulled up Visual Studio Code and we wrote out some Pine answered questions. Thank you guys so much for that. It was awesome. I hope you guys learned as much as I did. The first draft of our next Pathways to Profit video in our course is going to be a deep dive into hedging as well, ironically enough. I finished the first draft of that last night. I'm going to have my editing team review it, and then we'll get the final draft done. It'll be uploaded to the drive this weekend. Emails for the onboarding of the 3 individuals who won in yesterday's giveaway for the free month of premium basic access. So a month of free premium basic subscription to the Kraken Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. Those emails will be sent out today and get you guys onboarded into the group. Again, the 3 individuals who won are already members of our Discord, already members of the community, so they should be familiar with the process, but you guys will be getting an email from our support desk to help onboard you guys into the process. that's about it this morning. Let's get right into today's analysis because there's so much to talk about, guys. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. If you have any questions, drop them in the live chat. The moderators will bring them to my attention, and we will answer questions in the Q&A section toward the end of the show. But let's get going, guys. Aw. The one thing I forgot to do. Oh, come on, guys. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. There we go. Just a very, very highly functioning OBS over here at times. Anyways, guys, Bitcoin's price exploding right now at 94.87. There's so much I want to talk about today when we talk about price. But we're going to keep it simple. My team is chuckling at me right now. But that's okay. We're actually going to start off on the weekly, and we don't normally do weekly analysis on Thursdays because we've got several days before the weekly candle closes. But I just do want to point out a few things. We've got the CCEMA on the chart. We've got the volume profile on the chart. We're going to keep it simple. We'll go through these one by one. So we'll use the breaking Bitcoin indicator, which I'll be making available to premium members very soon. And but again, a big portion of the breaking Bitcoin indicator is just the new component here is the continuation filter. The other thing is just my initiator and my confirmer coded into a new UI. That's really all it is. And then it's got the baseline hard coded into it. So this is the all singing, all dancing, magical indicator that people have wanted for so long. But anyways, again, here on the weekly time frame, we can see that the breaking Bitcoin indicator, and we talked about this back when it happened. If you guys have been following the show, you guys will recall when I talked about the weekly signal. We had not received a bullish signal. We received it over here. It was the first closing candle of January. We hadn't seen a signal like that since back in January of 2019. And here we are 3 weeks later at 9,500, up from around 7,000 at the time when that candle was signaled. So it's been a good run. It's been an incredible run. We've had multiple trades to the upside. I think the only the only pivot was when over last week when it seemed that the trend was going to break down, and it did not. It resurfaced at the beginning of the week. We noticed that we went long again, and it's working out pretty well. 94.93 new yearly highs for the year 2020. Year's fairly fresh, but it's always exciting to hear that. Typically, again, when you reach new highs on any kind of metric, you do expect to continue moving that along. And I think that, to quote Charles over here this morning, I think that crypto Twitter be like this morning. This is what crypto Twitter looks like this morning. But anyways, here we are on the daily, but let's keep it to the weekly for right now, because I want to break down. I just want to kind of look, do we see any kind of significant resistance? Are there any kind of pending signs of a sell-off? And if you'll recall what I said yesterday, when you are in a macro bullish market, which we are currently in, make no mistake, I've been very consistent about that with a slight deviation on the daily last week. But because we are in a macro bullish market or market state right now, whether you're analyzing from the weekly, in which case you would not have pivoted at all, but of course we do favor the daily, so we did pivot. When you're in a macro bullish market, typically you want to wait for confirmation, and that confirmation will come with a massive series of sells. And until you see that, there's really no point in attempting to significantly short the market. This is the difference between trying to catch a top, which I do not believe that you should do, because tops are very hard to catch in Bitcoin. We talked about this as well. When you're using technical indicators, which we favor, which we utilize, as opposed to subjective analysis of price action. When you are using technical indicators, things that can generate objective trading signals that you can test, that you can back test and derive a statistical and successful system from, that you can build off of evidence and data, not wishes and fishes. In my experience anyways, it's relatively easy to catch bottoms in Bitcoin. it is more difficult to catch tops with the same metrics on those indicators. So therefore, it's always better, and this is generally due to the fact that most assets are stair steps up, elevator down. Bitcoin, on the other hand, you can see it is the exact opposite. It is elevator up and stair steps down in general, meaning that price appreciates to the upside much more rapidly than it actually sells off, regardless of what people seem to think. If you actually look at the data, you'll see that it is different. It moves up much faster than it moves down. So because of that, it is when you're using things that have overbought or oversold metrics, which are generally going to be the most popular to try and catch tops and bottoms, they're going to get overbought too quickly. Right? For example, things like the RSI or stochastic or really any kind of momentum oscillator is going to remain pegged overbought for a long time. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't give you valid signals. For example, places to take partial profits or update your stop loss or potentially even wait for a pullback to re-enter into a position, things like that. They do give you good signals, but you want to be hesitant when you're relying on these things to catch the top, right? Again, we are trend following traders. We eat the body of the trade. We leave the head and the tail for reversal traders because they are going to have a lower probability of success than us on average. So do we see anything imminent? Do we see any kind of impending significant resistance above us? Well, no, we really don't. If we go over to the volume profile over here, which is what I do favor for supply and demand support and resistance, we can see that we really don't have a whole lot above us if we aggregate from last year as well, all the way back to the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, and now the fresh 2020. So if we aggregate over the last 2 years and really look at the majority of this run up, we can really see that we actually don't have a lot of resistance overhead. I won't say that we have none. We do have some spikes. We do have a few spikes, but we have just gotten over the most significant high volume node. If we tighten this up a little bit, we can see that the recent point of control was down around the $6,500 level. You can see exactly where we bounced from the volume profile. We had this median zone, significant level of resistance. We did overcome that, and we just really overcame the last high volume node. Now, price likes to go from low volatility to high volatility. Price likes to go from low volume nodes to high volume nodes. So we can see when price does enter into areas of low volume nodes, that's often where we will see price turnarounds. I've said this before, think of low volume nodes as train tracks. This is, trains like to speed along train tracks very quickly. And high volume nodes are going to be train stations. Price likes to consolidate inside the train station. Trains like to hang out in the train station for a while, give you an opportunity to buy some kitsch, some mementos to send home to your loved ones. And so in that realm, we have a few bumps above us around 10,169. We are on the Bitstamp chart for this, which we do for long-term analysis, and around 10,500. But really, we don't really hit low volume node territory, extreme low volume node territory until we're above 12,000, right? We can really see the difference in volume by price at those levels, as opposed to the massive amounts of buying and selling that we've had here over the median range. And I've said this before. I have said this before as well, that the range between 6,000 and 9,000, if you aggregate the last 2 years, represents the current fair market value of Bitcoin, right? Represents the current fair market value of Bitcoin. So that is a piece of data that we have. 6,000 to 9,000 is roughly the median price of Bitcoin, given its current range, given its current high and its current low. Secondly, we know that Bitcoin is a very strongly trending asset, right? And we can correlate that with what I pointed out earlier, the fact that Bitcoin accelerates to the upside much quicker than it degenerates to the downside. So it rises in price more rapidly than it declines in price. And these movements tend to be unexpected and quite quick. We also can throw in there, with a little dash of salt and pepper, the up-and-coming halvening, which is a fundamentally bullish event, given some other things. Now, again, I have been fairly consistent that I'm not entirely sold on the idea that we're going to explode prior to the halvening, right? I would like to see more patient, more methodical, more slow growth moving into 2021, 2022, because that will signal to the rest of the world, particularly not only to institutional investors, but to asset managers. It will signal to professional traders. It will signal to retail individuals looking for a safeguard against what I think is going to be the decline of the traditional financial markets. We will see them see Bitcoin with more steady, slower growth, more consistent plodding upwards, just like you would want to see, just very much similar to the chart of the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ composite. Take your index pick of choice, because they've been in a bull market for the last 10 years. I think that will be a very good fundamental catalyst for much higher and higher prices. However, You never want to underestimate Bitcoin. You never want to underestimate Bitcoin. So I don't see any significant levels of support and resistance above us. As Crown would say, we are above all major moving averages, which we are indeed. As we talked about on here on the weekly chart, kind of the big bearish factor that I do look for is the crossovers of the 13 and the 55 exponential moving average, secondary and tertiary baselines. We've covered this in depth. This will be covered in an upcoming PTP video as well, really diving into the nuance of how to utilize these for your trading purposes. We didn't get that. We didn't get that. If we do zoom in on price, and we'll go to the VPVR right now. If we do zoom in by price, we swerved right away from it because it did look hairy over here for a second. But we swerved away from that. We do now currently have the weekly 13 and the weekly 8 crossing over the weekly 21 exponential moving average as well, which some would view as a significant level of support. Should we get a relatively large pullback. It would have to be darn near a bearish engulfing, though, to take out the gains of this current week. We do not see a massive explosion in volume here on the weekly. This is a good thing. I do like to see trends proceed on relatively median or to low volume. It is only at the tops and bottoms where at the beginning and the end of trends where you will see large amounts of volume come in. Now, you won't always see large volume come in to initiate a downtrend. Remember that falling volume by default is typically bearish. However, the qualifier there is that you're going to see a lot of volume come in at the beginning of the trend, a lot of volume come in at the end of the trend. And typically, if the end of the previous trend was a bearish trend and you have a lot of volume to initiate a bullish trend, that trend will proceed on relatively low volume until you get that large volume spike, and then falling volume becomes bearish. So a little nuance to the typical rule that falling volume is always bearish. It almost always is, but after you've had these two swing points of high volume, in my experience and in my opinion. Looking just solely at the breaking Bitcoin indicator, we'll keep this very simple on the weekly time frame. Do we have weekly continuation? No, we have not gotten a weekly continuation signal on the breaking Bitcoin indicator yet. We got the initial long signal over here. This is when the indicator flipped to the long side. We've had good follow through from there. If we actually pull open, I'm interested to see. Oh, okay. Just a second. Let's take VPVR off. Still using my backup account. Quadrigo, here we go. Are you still going to give me problems? There we go. If we go back and look at what the profit targets were on that weekly signal, we can see that we would have hit take profit 1 just about now, right around 92.17. And we have further upside at 10,268 roughly and 11,186. So 11,186 would be take profit 3 for that weekly signal. Again, in this context, you would have already taken 50% of your profit off the table or whatever portion that you're trading with. For me, I favor 50% at TP1. Move your stop loss to break even. Now, we don't have weekly continuation. That will come if we get a pullback or if we get within range of 80.23. Weekly closes below 80.23 will invalidate long trades at this point in time on the weekly time frame. So that's a $1,500 correction to really pivot the trend on the weekly time frame. And you have to factor in the risk to reward. We've already moved from the close of this weekly candle, it was at 81.80. We've already moved up $1,500 from then. And if we're relying on the original take profit signals, then we're looking at a potential movement up to the 11,000 region on that weekly signal. Now, what is that? I mean, from current price, you're talking about more than $1,500 in upside, right? You're talking about more than $1,500 in upside, and you've already secured 50% profit. So you have to measure your risk to reward ratio to achieve these higher prices. Again, I think that less savvy traders are too quick to exit positions and allow volatility to kick them out, or coward. I want to use the right word, which starts with a B, but push them out of their trades, right? Push them out of their trades. So weekly looks good. Weekly looks healthy. Let's get over to the daily chart. The daily time frame, we have been long on Bitcoin for almost 4 days now. We re-entered long and dropped our long hedges on the 27th of January, that daily close. That means that all of my equity in my trading account is sitting in Bitcoin, has been sitting in Bitcoin. And this is as I've said many, many times, is a real key secret to my success. Hedging is not an option for me. Hedging is a core fundamental component of my strategy because I allow my profits to be accelerated because I have such a good trending system on Bitcoin. I allow my profits to be exponentially multiplied by sitting in Bitcoin at the right time. And when Bitcoin loses that bullish trend, which I am patient for, then I hedge and I achieve all the benefits of the price to the downside while many individuals are still hodling and holding. And because I use synthetic CFDs or futures contracts, i.e. Bybit, i.e. BitMEX, to do this instead of selling out of my Bitcoin, there are tax benefits and there are also profit benefits as well, in my opinion. I'm able to control my positions with far more control, and this is what we do our best to attempt to patiently explain every single day on this channel. If you're new to this concept of hedging, please check out the videos in the Trading Crypto 101 playlist here on the YouTube channel. Anyways, let's talk about the technicals for today. Breaking Bitcoin indicator not giving us continuation on the daily time frame. We have a tighter metric. We have the baseline currently sitting between 90.40 and 89.02, taking into account the Keltner channel. We have the continuation signal, the continuation line currently sitting at 89.44. So daily close, because that continuation signal, because that continuation line is now within the baseline, closes below that will be closes below the baseline. So we're just in a very similar situation where closes below the baseline invalidate long setups, right? And we look to hedge. However, we need to get down below 87.23. Currently, these numbers adjust. These numbers dynamically adjust every single day based on price action. We need to currently on the daily get below 87.23 before we can looking for short trades, because that would be movement most likely down below 8,000 at that point in time. But today is not a re-entry signal. We, again, very similar with the weekly. We haven't gotten a re-entry signal yet. Even on yesterday's pullback candle, we are, again, at the risk of repeating myself, new yearly highs, a new rising explosion level from Wadatar explosion. Minx has not crossed under to the downside. It is usually when we get that cross under. Minx has this nice capacity to cross under on bull candles that often represent the tops of local cycles, and cross to the upside on bearish candles, red candles that often represent the local bottoms of bearish cycles. But it hasn't done so yet. Minx also did not poke its head into, it just briefly poked its head into overbought territory. Again, not a valid signal in my opinion. We didn't close strongly above it. As we can see over here, this was a much better signal. We really went up, and you can see the first candle that goes into the overbought region is typically going to be that one or one of the next subsequent candles that represents the pullback. But again, remember, I just talked about this. Oversold levels in Bitcoin are more relevant than overbought levels in Bitcoin. Doesn't matter what indicator that you're using. Even one as powerful as Minx. So Minx has not broached its head into overbought territory. We talked 2 days ago about the potential triple bearish divergence on Minx. That did not happen. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about that 2 days ago. That was invalidated with the candle close 2 days ago and continuing to get follow through today, because we now have a higher high on Minx and also a higher high on price. So that is invalidated. We do not have bearish divergence on Minx, and Wadatar explosion is good. Regular volume looks good. Current take profit zone on the daily is going to be between 98.30 and 10,536 with current Quadriga invalidation at 89.47, which lines up beautifully with current trade invalidation anyways from the baseline and the continuation line at 89.44. So a $3 difference. So currently looking at 89.50. Let's just round up. Below 89.50, longs are invalidated. Above 89.50, we're looking at a current take profit zone of 98.30 to 10,536. Again, with the caveat that today is not a re-entry candle. Okay. All right, let's go over to Tensor charts and look at current price action. Again, not a re-entry candle, although we have had a lot of, and again, at your own discretion. This is not something that I always emphatically promote, but we've had a lot of active scalping, I'm sure, in the group this morning. Members Lounge going a little crazy. We do see some volume delta divergence coming in now just on the current 5-minute candles here on BTCUSDT. Looking at sell walls, we do have a 122 BTC sell wall followed by a 107 BTC sell wall at 95.50 and 95.60. We see the dispersion between 9,500 and 95.40. I expect that those orders will get filled. And then we don't really have anything up until 96.80. Again, these walls have mostly been chewed through. We have talked about ways to monitor lower time frames to see if these walls will fail or not. The key factor here is that one needs to wait for confirmation. You have to wait for confirmation. You can see several things happen when price approaches a sell wall on tensor charts or whatever order book platform that you're looking at or utilizing. So the first thing that you can see is the wall hold, price rejects, and if you're counter trend trading, if you're reversal trading or reversion to the mean trading, doesn't matter, then you would want to enter into a short position on a confirmed close after the rejection, right? That's what you want to wait for confirmation. If you want to be really conservative, 2 candles. The other thing that you can see is the wall disappear. All right. This is often what gets traders trapped because you still need to wait for confirmation. Often traders will see a wall disappear and they will mark it buy in the case that price is moving to the upside, and then price reverses. And the reason why this happens is because they're not waiting for the candle to close. Don't care what time frame you're using. You can use the 5 minute, you can use the 1 minute. I don't care. Actually, I do recommend the 5 minute. That's the lowest I would go. But if you see a sell wall disappear, and you see price begin to move above the area where that wall previously was, wait until the 5 minute candle closes. And if it closes bullish, that has a much higher probability to beat a breakout trade. Whereas if you buy as soon as the wall goes down in your intra bar, you have a much higher probability to get faked out and dumped on. All right. So this has saved me a lot of Satoshis over time. A lot of volume, obviously. 2.4 thousand to the buy side over the last hour, 2,000 to the sell side. Over the last 30 minutes, we've seen more significant selling coming in, but a lot of buying. Recently, about 50 minutes ago, 475,000 to the buy side as well. We'll see if it gets dispersed as we hit this $9,600 region. This is going to be for the 5 minute time frames. Again, I don't think that we've had enough of a bullish push to enter into range mode quite yet. And overall, I'm still bullish. Okay, looking at the broader market today, obviously it is a good day. We'll look at our USD pairs. And of course, what do you expect to see when Bitcoin's up? It's Christmas time in Bitcoin land. Zcoin up another 28.7%. You know, I had an opportunity to sit down with the founder of Zcoin at San Francisco Blockchain Week. Really nice guy, really interesting project. And that video will be uploaded to the YouTube channel here fairly soon. The interview with Naomi Brockwell and Samson Mao of Blockstream are going to be the next ones that come out. So that was really good. Very grateful to those individuals for taking the time to sit down and talk to me about their projects. In Naomi Brockwell's case, about privacy and security. And in Samson Mao's case, of course, about Bitcoin, a little bit about Ethereum and Blockstream, as well as the Liquid sidechain. Litecoin today up 12.7%. In my opinion, the best consistent overperformer of the market. I've been a bull on Litecoin for months now. I've talked very openly about my Litecoin position. At the risk of sounding like every other YouTube channel, but to the moon, baby. RLC up 15.7%. Been a very interesting coin to trade lately. Made Safe up yet again. Zcash up another 8%. I know that junior analyst Midwest Attempts is in Zcash, and that's been doing well for him. I talked to another staff member, Marshall, the other morning. I think this morning, Link up well for him as well, 7.5%. Icon up another 8.6%. So yeah, we got into ICX, exited ICX, got a good about, what was it, like 17 to 25% out of that, depending on where you sold. But it is continuing to move to the upside. But I can't complain. I cannot complain. I wake up, I look at my trading journal, and my current trading journal is 40% ROI. It's fantastic. Now, that's not position size averaged, so I'm assuming that I'm going to end the month up about 40% of my total equity in USD. That's based on the fact that as of yesterday, I was up about 30%, and we've had some leverage positions move to the upside. So overall, it's been a very, very good month. Closing out January, I've had the best Forex trades, some of the best Forex trades that I've had over the last year in the last few days. And we're going to look at those here in just a second. So let's actually look at those right now. Let's go look at my currency trades. And by the way, as you guys know, I talked about this yesterday, we do now have Awanda support. So I trade on Awanda. That is my broker, and I am now posting my signals. That is integrated into the system, signal delivery service. That's a premium perk for premium members as well. So far, it's been very good. Still short on the euro yen. You can see my entry point right there on the screen. And again, this is my best Forex trade of 2020. Really good Forex trade for a while, just in the immediate impact of how quickly it moved to the downside. So still short on that. I've taken partial profits off and allowing that to go. Common Man Crypto, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, my brother. Let me see here. Let me go over and look at your comments. He says, Bitcoin has a habit of wrecking moon boys if the price goes up too quickly. Does it make any sense to speculate short at 10K? I understand the risk. You know, I don't think... Okay. So the answer is yes. I certainly think that it could make sense. It can make sense to look at the market and want to counter trade it. That is not the position that I'm taking. I've learned that when Bitcoin is bullish, it is typically best to get out of the way. As I've said many times, there are other individuals out there. There are other traders with different strategies that might be better at catching tops. It's not something that I've focused on. I've always focused on trend trading. I've recently integrated a system that allows me to catch bottoms fairly well, and that's due to the programming knowledge that I've attained over time. As far as catching tops, I don't think that's the most profitable strategy in Bitcoin. And I can just speak from experience. Over the almost 4 years now that I've been trading Bitcoin since March of 2016, a good chunk of the most consistent profits have come from just knowing when to be in and out of Bitcoin. And none of that was catching tops and bottoms. None of that was catching tops and bottoms. All of that was entering when the trend flipped to the upside. So in my experience, yes, does Bitcoin have a habit of wrecking moon boys? Sure. Bitcoin also has a habit of 100, 200% price appreciations very, very rapidly and wrecking individuals who attempt to counter trend trade. If you understand the risk and you have a system that accounts for it, I wish you all the best, my friend. And I never want it to be a situation or a negative situation where it's like, you know, your stop losses might take profit or your take profit or the other way around. So I wish you the best. I don't think that's the best decision in this area. I think that I get it. I understand the logic behind it. It's a psychological price level. But in my experience, and again, I'm more than willing to come on my show, and I always admit when I'm wrong. I think that it makes more sense to allow long positions to ride at this point in time than to speculate on the potential top. Wait for confirmation for the top, right? You have a higher probability of success if you wait for trend confirmation and then short, because then you got a big movement ahead of you, rather than if you try to short against the dominant trend, which is counter trend trading, and not completely opposite to the way that I trade. So you'll probably get a different answer on a different channel, but that's where I sit on that. Thank you so much for the tip, my brother. Hopefully you're doing well. Look at the Kiwi dollar. I am short on the Kiwi dollar, continuing to hold the short on the Kiwi dollar. You can see my entry price on the screen. This was a trade that was posted as well for premium members. And again, this shaping up to be a fantastic trade for 2020 as well. Not great, good, not definitely nothing necessarily right home to mom about. Now the Euro CAD, I am happy about this one. The Euro CAD, again, it's nothing subjective, guys. I'm not a voodoo wizard, right? I've just taken the time to build a system just like you guys can. Just like every single one of you can, right? I don't have some magical ability to speculate on where price will go. I follow my system. It's objective. It tells me what to do. But the EuroCAD, I took the initial long signal. Over here, and I'm pointing at my monitor like you guys can see my fingers. Maybe one of these days we'll get like a background camera. And we did get a pullback. We did not get an exit signal. We had a nice movement to the upside yesterday, which still had me in drawdown because, again, this was my entry price right here. My entry price was right here. I'm getting some very good follow through on the EuroCAD today. Again, the Bank of England dropping some news this morning. And I was lucky enough to take the pound Kiwi long. I took the pound Kiwi long yesterday. Right prior to the daily close of the Owanda market. And the Bank of England dropped that news this morning, and the pound Kiwi, it was already, what's interesting is that about an hour after the daily close, price already started moving. And then that news dropped, and man, so again, I did post that trade last night. At the daily close, and congratulations to those who got in. I know that's although we're integrating the Forex and that's new, I know that some of the traders were already trading Forex, and I know because of the DMs. So that was good. Happy to be in the pound Kiwi to the long side. Those are the only Forex trades that I'm currently in. Again, Euro Yen to the short side, Kiwi dollar to the short side, and the Euro CAD and the pound Kiwi to the upside. Other than that, in one USDT, Litecoin. I added additional risk to Litecoin yesterday because I took the USDT pair to the upside as well. Nano, and still in leverage longs on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum for 1 day longer than Bitcoin at this point in time. And holding my equity in Bitcoin as well. So the movement to the upside, again, gets exponentially magnified depending on what you're holding your equity in. And this is why hedging is such a fundamental component of my strategy. It's not an option. Hedging to me is not an option. It's the way that I trade. It's the fundamental way that I trade. Just, I love crypto Twitter sometimes for as much of a cesspool as it can be. Exit scammed over here. Of course, we got that Darth Maul candle. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But good follow through. And of course, what that does mean for the Gap boys out there is let's pull it open. You know what? We didn't really fill that gap, did we? And when they're right, right? So we do still have a gap. Down in the $9,000 to $9,200 region. It's really more appropriate to say $9,000 to $9,250, but again, so that is still there. And then looking at what outperformed BTC today, again, great day for altcoins. This was a good day for altcoins. Zcoin, Litecoin, RLC, VSys, Bytecoin. Bytecoin's been going crazy lately. Lamb, MadeSafe, SNX, Nexo. That. The other thing I wanted to point out is that if you were following the hash rate on TradingView with the TradingView chart, the full feature chart, then you might be severely panicked. You might have thought that because this is the Quandl plugin. This is the Quandl chart on TradingView of the Bitcoin hash rate. You might be thinking that, maybe Bitcoin just died. The baby Bitcoin just died. And we're going to zero. This is some sort of plotting error. I don't know why this happened. If somebody has the answer to this, please let me know. Because I was looking, because we are at an all-time high for Bitcoin hash rate. I'm sure this isn't at all related to the fact that Bitcoin Cash took 5.5 hours to find a block. But if we actually go and look at the Quandl data on Quandl's website, we can actually see that, no, we are at all-time highs. So current new all-time highs on Bitcoin hash rate today. Okay. All right, so good time. It's 12:40. We got to get into the rest of the show, guys. There's so much I need to do today. I've got a couple mentoring sessions. I've got Bottom Feeder, which is the new bottom catching strategy that we're going to be releasing to premium members next week. I need to finish the optimizations on that. And then obviously we're still pushing very hard on getting the optimizations and upgrades to the new version of Minx ready for you guys as well. So I want to get to that today. So let's get in. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to thank today's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. There is a link down in the description. Sorry, let me just find the right tab, and it's coming. I promise it's coming. It's coming so quickly, just like the Bitcoin bullish market. But anyways, you guys know how much of an advocate of privacy and security that I am. Constant user of a VPN, very critical in who I choose for VPS, very critical about my password management, very critical about my cold storage. If you guys haven't seen my crypto tag video, that is in the in the Trading Crypto 101 playlist, excuse me. But my friends over at Spectre Security Coin now do one-on-one consultations if you guys want to make sure that you are handling your cryptocurrency properly, from password management to storing your private keys to making sure that you're following best practices so that you do not. This is another way that you can lose out on the gains of a Bitcoin bull market. So definitely go give them a call. You can use the link down in the description if you would like. Tell them Justin sent you as well. And I want to thank them for sponsoring today's crypto comment giveaway, where we give away 8,000 XSPC every day to a lucky YouTube commenter. And today, that is going to be... Oh no, come on. Who didn't delete the spam comment? Come on, guys. Paul Robertson. He says, as always, Justin, solid advice, and thank you so much for all you do, brother. Thank you so much, Paul. I highly appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for the support, and thank you for the comment. Get a hold of me in the Discord. Link is in the description down below, and I will gladly tip you some crypto, or you can join Spectre Securities Discord. The link is on their website, and the link to their website's in the description, and I can tip you directly on their server in the bot spam channel. So let me know either way you like, my friend, and hopefully you're doing fantastic today. All right, we're going to get into today's Crypto Currently episode. We're going to be talking about Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital, and Bitcoin Cash. Bum, 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 bum. Let's get going. All right, our first story of the day. It's going to be about Mike Novogratz. Now, for those of you who have not seen Bitcoin, please go to Moon. Mike Novogratz is the Galaxy Digital founder and CEO. And he was in Miami this Wednesday, speaking at a conference in which he delivered a speech where he detailed his views on the next wave of Bitcoin adoption and how it's going to be fueled by interest, not from retail, but from registered investment advisors like himself. Now, the presentation was delivered at the Context Summits. This is an event. It's a 2-day crypto networking event. It was sponsored by the likes of Galaxy Digital themselves, but also by Fidelity Digital Assets, Grayscale, TD Ameritrade, Morgan Stanley, and several other investment banking players. Now, the goal of this conference was to bring together qualified investors, hedge funds, endowments, and foundation allocators, the big players in the investment space. Now, according to Novogratz's speech at this conference, he claimed that less than 5% of endowment funds have invested in Bitcoin, and that pension funds will be slow at moving into the alternative asset. Now, in order to tip the financial scales in Bitcoin's favor, and to unlock its full potential as the world's real digital gold, Novogratz said the industry will need to invest in a more robust infrastructure, among other things. Now, elaborating on this is Galaxy Digital's new report entitled Digital Diversification, Bitcoin's Role in the Modern Portfolio, which you guys can download over on Galaxy Fund Management's website. Just go to galaxyfundmanagement.com. Here is the report right here, Bitcoin's role in the modern portfolio. And according to this report, Bitcoin is set to shine amidst a backdrop of global uncertainty, more quantitative easing, more debt, shifting trades, tariff and tax policies, swelling central bank balance sheets, and the diminishing purchasing power of national currencies by their citizens. Quote, Bitcoin's total market cap continues to grow, but still has tremendous room to expand compared to other global markets. Billions of dollars of infrastructure investments have been made in the last few years to support Bitcoin's robust ecosystem and enable institutional investors to have the tools and opportunity to invest, trade, and instantly transact with billions of dollars in daily liquidity. Now, progress on this front includes regulated custody, physically settled futures contracts, and regulated options contracts. Now, from Goldman Sachs to Fidelity to IBM to the New York Stock Exchange and Intercontinental Exchange, major financial institutions have made and continue to make sizable investments in the industry and the verticals of Bitcoin's value chain. Now, this report concludes that 2020 will be the year that Bitcoin sees the deployment of even more on-ramps and infrastructure for institutional investors, as well as retail consumers, increasing their interest and use of Bitcoin for payments and cross-border transactions. Quote, more and more people are discovering and investing in Bitcoin every day. Open to all, Bitcoin's ability to settle immense value across borders 24/7 is unprecedented in the history of money. Bitcoin is the world's first global asset that harnesses the power of computers and humankind's innate need to innovate to enable a worldwide decentralized store of value. 2020 is highly likely to see further increases in Bitcoin adoption, innovation, and interests. Now, for years, we have heard that institutions are coming to pump our bags. So we have to ask, with all of the investments that have been made into Bitcoin over the last few years, following the bull run of 2017, is 2020, is this the decade where this finally happens? Because this has been the narrative that has led many astray over the last 2 years as the market has done nothing but decline. You have to ask yourself, is big finance interested in building on Bitcoin and offering value-added services and investment opportunities to their clienteles on the back of the Bitcoin network? Now, we've covered on this show how retail banking wants to get into the crypto space by offering custodial services. From the recent Hawaii legislation to Germany floating a similar bill to the backed warehouse and their coming back app to the Royal Bank of Canada's own study revealing banks are interested in catering to the crypto-minded next generation of customers. Or do you believe that Bitcoin is too much of a wild card for big corporate institutions? Are they going to give the industry the cold shoulder in order to pursue corporate coin projects such as Libra? Or will more regulatory-friendly and state-sponsored central bank digital currencies be where the institutional interest flows? Now, I don't know about you. The last time I checked, Libra did not stand a very good investment opportunity to me. Stablecoins aren't fantastic investments. So, in measuring the upside downside of these three scenarios, the answer to me is clear. But please, this is a complicated topic. Please leave your comments in the section down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. And obviously, we'll pick a random commenter for tomorrow's cryptocurrency giveaway. Best of luck to all of you guys. And we're going to move on to our next story before we run out of steam here on the network. And this is going to be covering Bitcoin Cash. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but the Bitcoin Cash network experienced a serious mining anomaly today. Now, miners apparently failed to find a single block for over 5 hours. Although it should be noted, it didn't appear to cause a significant transaction backlog. Oh wait, that's a bad thing. Now, what this latest blockchain abnormality, in which miners were unable to produce a single block for hours, it demonstrates how little transaction activity actually occurs on the BCH chain. As of 8 o'clock Universal Time on Thursday, today, the BCH network returned to regular block production, leaving a 5-hour block time gap in its wake. Now, block production stalled at block number 620,025. And the next block, 620,026, took more than 5 hours to discover and propagate to the network. Now, of course, Twitter user Whale Panda wasted no time. As a staunch Bitcoin proponent, he didn't pass on the opportunity to comment on the event, saying that BCH has so few transactions that after 5.5 hours of no block, still only fills up 2.3 megabytes. I also think that the coffee is really cold after 5.5 hours. Now, while a slower block is not unusual, what the event did reveal is the relatively low transaction count for the network. Slower blocks, where miners failed to discover a block, has happened to Bitcoin in the past as well, with the last such occurrence taking an hour to resolve. Now, it's unclear what caused such a long delay in the production of the last block. It's possible it was merely bad luck, and the collective hash power of the BCH ASICs was merely stumped on this particular block for a number of hours. This is theoretically possible. Perhaps it's indicative of a sudden withdrawal of hashing power from BCH, leaving the remaining miners with an extra challenging block to solve. The difficulty doesn't adjust that fast. Now, this seems less likely, though, as mining on BCH has an emergency difficulty adjustment. But its difficulty adjustment scheme has been subject to criticism in the past, including claims that miners can game the difficulty adjustment scheme to their advantage. Now, in terms of raw transaction numbers, the BCH network handles about 50,000 transactions per day. That's about 6 times lower relative to Bitcoin. Now, at the time of this recording, data shows that BCH has almost no pending transactions, with the 5-hour block backlog getting resolved in just 3 blocks, one carrying 6,950 transactions and the other 1,590. And with BCH, with their network supporting large block sizes, this means that once normal block production resumed, the pending transactions were processed quickly. However, after 5 hours, the outstanding transactions still only added up to a 2.3 megabit block, highlighting BCH as an underutilized network, leading some to question if it deserves its spot as 4th largest cryptocurrency despite such low usage. Despite the random nature of the event with no underlying explanation, crypto Twitter took the opportunity to once again take shots at Bitcoin Cash, who is still attempting to position itself as a leading competitor comparative with Bitcoin. But its fortunes seem fledgling amidst the minor tax drama and the subsequent fallout, as well as mounting pressure from BSV, the newest Bitcoin fork that split from BCH with an entirely new mining model. And BSV, while not immune from a similar slow block anomaly, is more optimized to propagate even larger blocks than BCH's own big block model. Curiously enough, among block abnormalities, such as the slow block we just described, is also the case of stale blocks, which is the simultaneous discovery of 2 valid blocks, of which one is abandoned or orphaned. And it just so happens that this week, the BTC network produced an extra block that went stale. This event is also extremely rare and unpredictable, happening usually months or even years apart. Strange occurrences in the world of SHA-256 block mining this week might foretell a potential glitch in the matrix. So again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Sometimes I think that I'm just reporting on stuff that we all already know, but of course, I've been doing this for cryptocurrency for almost 4 years now. And sometimes I take mining knowledge for granted. So do our best to try to educate everybody on the best components. Now we're going to get to the questions and answers section. We're going to have to do the lightning round, guys. 10 minutes. 10-minute lightning round. All right. And before we get into that, I want to remind you guys, Bybit is still doing its $300 giveaway. If you deposit 1 BTC to Bybit between now and February 4th, you can qualify for a $300 margin bonus. You can withdraw your 1 BTC following the competition. You cannot use the $300 to withdraw, but you can use it to trade and withdraw the profits thereof, or to cover losses, depending on where your I said mining. Now I've got mining in my head. Where your profits come from. There's a link down in the description if you guys would like to sign up. And before we get into the Q&A section, a brief word from our friends over at Bybit. This is Jason when he first learned about Bitcoin margin trading on BitMEX.
Why? Why? Give it back! Give it back! Oh, give it back!
This is Jason 6 months later after signing up for Bybit with the Cracking Cryptocurrency referral link found in the description below. Don't make the same mistake as Jason. Sign up today at bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com. All right, back in the saddle, and let's see what we got. I'm sure we got a lot. Whoa, boy, that's a big one. Okay. Midwest Attempts says, do I find it interesting that the CME gap did not get filled, but most other exchanges filled this gap? I actually do. Obviously, Bybit saw some, as well as BitMEX, saw some low prices. Deribit not going down as far. I believe that the lowest price on Deribit was like 91.90, whereas Bybit and BitMEX going down to roughly 9,100. Jake Rezio says, hey, Justin, can you explain staking? Is it a good idea or not? Kraken now allows you to stake your XTZ and promises an annual return of 6%. The limited reading I've done on it suggests it's an alternative to mining. Yeah, so staking is, this could be a long conversation, so we'll just keep it simple. There are several proposed ways to secure a distributed network, right? Such as a blockchain. And one of those methods is mining, right? Mining requires utilizing a lot of computational power to prove that you have done some work. It's called proof of work. And in the case of Bitcoin, for example, and Bitcoin forks, what you are doing with your computing power is you are running a SHA-256 algorithm. You are attempting to solve a complex mathematical puzzle that regenerates on every single block. So it's a new puzzle, every new block, and every computer that is mining Bitcoin around the world is attempting to solve this puzzle. And whichever computer solves the puzzle first can raise their hand and say, I solved the puzzle. Does everybody see I solved the puzzle? And then that message gets propagated. And then because they solved the puzzle, that miner has the right to cement the next block into the blockchain. The reward of this is that they get to write the Coinbase transaction. The Coinbase transaction is the first transaction on every single block. And what that transaction does is it mints new Bitcoin, essentially out of nowhere, into that miner's deposit address, into any address that miner wants to write into the block. This is how new Bitcoin comes into creation. However, also there is the 20 million Bitcoin cap. So once it's coded into the Bitcoin protocol. So once we reach 20 million, there will be no more block rewards and miners will just be competing for transaction fees. There's a lot of math done on this. It's a very secure network. Bitcoin is the safest system that we have. It's been running strong for 10 years. The fact that the majority of Bitcoin hash rate runs on renewable energy really puts a lie that this is an unsustainable system. Security costs money, and we're talking about securing a global payment system and store of value. It's worth it. Staking, on the other hand, is an alternative to that. And staking says that instead of expending computational energy, we will allow, there's still computational energy, but far, far less. And to stake, which means you are now a validator, essentially. There's so many different iterations of proof of stake, and I'm not the foremost expert on this, but I'll just give you the knowledge that is best to my example. Staking is an alternative that says you are allowed to validate blocks if you stake, if you basically put up as collateral your funds. And you have to have a large amount to stake, right? So the more funds that you stake, the greater weight that you have, the greater right that you have to cement the next block to the chain. And if you cheat, if you attempt to cement a block that is incorrect, then you lose your stake. This is basically, it's Russian roulette, basically, where it's like, okay, we're gonna put you in charge of the system, and if you cheat, we're gonna shoot you. Or you lose all your money in this case. Maybe I'm being a little too aggressive with the shooting you thing, right? Then nobody's going to come to your house, but you lose your money, right? And so the logic behind this, and it's not unsound logic, the logic behind this is that individuals who have a lot of this cryptocurrency that they're staking have a vested interest in securing the health of the network, because if they do something that would jeopardize the system, then the market would panic and the value of their holdings would go down. So there is a financial incentive for them to play fair. It's the same. It's just a different type of game theoretics as opposed to Bitcoin, which imposes the same sort of game theoretics where if you attempt to cheat as a miner, then your block is invalidated by the network, and you have lost all the money it costs to mine that block, and you're kind of blacklisted from the network. Potentially. So it's just a different system. It's how new coins come into creation as well. If you stake, you receive the Coinbase transaction essentially. And this is all slightly technically different. I'm just explaining it kind of very simple in simple terms. But essentially with proof of work blockchains, Bitcoin in particular, and currently Ethereum, but Ethereum's transitioning to proof of stake, you expend computational energy to earn the right to mint the next block. In proof of stake, you vest, you stake, you put up your funds to be taken if you cheat to have the right to mint the next block, essentially, right? And there's different iterations of this. There's distributed proof of stake. There is raw proof of stake. There's all different kinds of methods of consensus, right? And yeah, I mean, there are coins that I stake, so I don't think that it's a bad idea. I mean, if you're going to hold a cryptocurrency, I've talked about Komodo for the very same reason. If you're going to hold a cryptocurrency that you are kind of fundamentally bullish on or that you view as an investment, I mean, why wouldn't you stake it? So I think that if you're going to hold XTZUSD, then it's a no-brainer to stake it. If you're going to hold a cryptocurrency and you can stake it, by all means stake it. There's a lot of resources out there on how to do it securely and safely. I always never advise keeping funds on an exchange because you don't know what those exchanges are doing with your funds. They're saying that they're staking for you, but are they trading your funds behind your back? They're really accumulating all of this, and you're really kind of allowing somebody to profit off your back. I always recommend just go. We use if you want a good VPS, I recommend Linode. There's not a link down in the description anymore, or there might be actually a link to Linode VPS down in the description below. But just go set up a hosted VPS, which is a virtual private server. Put your wallet on there and stake off of that VPS. You never have to touch it. This is how you can run a masternode. I run a few masternodes as well. It's what I recommend. If you're going to stake, do it on your own. Don't trust an exchange to do it for you. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to hold your funds on the exchange anyways, then yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Okay, let's see here. Ken D says it may be about time to yank coins off the exchange and store it if you're not actively trading. Right there, I agree. Remember, guys, that when we do get quite bullish, when the excitement gets up in the air, you get a lot that comes in. You get a lot of profits and you get a lot of scammers. And these are the moments when you can see shenanigans out there, right? Protect yourself, not your keys, not your coins. This is why I trade on Bybit, because I can use margin and leverage to allow me to deposit a smaller portion of my capital, hold the majority of my holdings in cold storage where it is safe and unconfiscatable. It's why I bought Bitcoin in the first place. And I can use margin to responsibly trade the correct position sizes with very low risk of liquidation, right? My stops almost never get hit. And I've never had a position liquidated in so long, I can't even tell you. Wayne Arndt says, can I look at Zcash USD? Sure, let's go. We're going over I thought we were doing lightning round, and then I talked about staking for 10 minutes. Look at ZEC USD on the daily. Yeah, ZEC USD on the daily is good. Unfortunately, we do have a rising explosion level today. We are beginning to peek our heads into overbought territory, not a continuation day. Current take profit zones from 73.61 to 85.45. Invalidation zone at 58.51. Looking at the breaking Bitcoin indicator, we have long invalidation below 55.79. So we want to see price closer to 55.79 to give us a better risk to reward ratio. Baseline pointed straight up, very nice. Overall, quite a bullish market. Nice explosion of Wadatar explosion today. Do I recommend entering on these big bullish moves to the upside? No, I'm always going to recommend waiting for a pull. Waiting for a pullback. This is why I built the continuation filter in the first place, so it can tell me when it's safer. Doesn't mean the price won't continue to scream along. Depends on what Bitcoin does largely. But altcoins are doing very well today. Honestly, for me, this looks to me more like a profit-taking opportunity, and I'm moving the stop loss to break even and allowing that trade to run and waiting for that pullback. I don't catch tops, so I'm not the guy that's going to tell you when the market's going to tip and turn over immediately. I'm the guy that's going to tell you when to be holding Bitcoin and when not to be holding Bitcoin. So Zcash, I don't see anything wrong with it. I like Zcash. I'm going to be fundamentally bullish on Zcash as well. There is a little discretionary factor that makes me a little more bullish on Zcash for other altcoins, right? This is largely going to be due to how far it depreciated. There's a lot of excitement. This is an investment strategy. I don't see anything different on Zcash. You're not going to be crazy to maybe look for a very low risk continuation trade because of the rising explosion level signal. Typically when WADA gives these signals, they're very powerful, and the amount of volume coming into Zcash right now does exponentially increase your odds of hitting your first take profit or all of your take profits, depending on where you set them. But if you do that, I would keep your risk low, and I would look for a better, fuller risk entry at a little bit of a lower price. Let's see here. Okay. Bob the Builder asks if I can look at the pound dollar. Look at the pound dollar real quick. He says, I took a short and it wasn't a bad loss because of my risk management system, but relative to my typical loss, it was big. Here's why you took a loss on the pound dollar. I'm not going to say that you are absolutely correct. But we're going to go to forexfactory.com and we're going to go to the news calendar. Okay. This is why. So again, look at me. I took the pound Kiwi trade to the upside yesterday, right? But I took a pound pair long. You took a pound pair short. And what do we have today? What are the events? Bank of England Governor Carney speaks. Bank of England monetary policy report. That's a huge fundamental event. You cannot ignore the fundamentals when you trade Forex. So typically, safest option is when you see this and you can see the currency pair that's affected, pound. This typically means we don't trade that. We're not going to trade that. And you can see this yesterday. You could have seen this yesterday. You can see the upcoming news calendar for the next day. So typically, safest route is you do not take trades where there are high impact fundamentals coming out the next day, because you could be on the wrong side of the market as you were today. And then we can also click on this. Right here. We can look on this and we can see what the projections are. Usual effect, more hawkish than expected is good for the currency. It was quite hawkish. This is good. We can look at the history of how this has been. You can kind of do some research online if you want to speculate how this is going to work out. I really didn't take too much of this into account, to be quite honest with you. I just took the objective signal, and there was good volume as well, so I quite liked it. I also in Forex, I have a few other indicators as well that I throw on that can allow me to have more confidence in my trades as well, as opposed to cryptocurrency. But especially beginning in Forex, my friend, do not trade pairs with fundamental events coming out the next day until you kind of have been trading Forex for a while, and you kind of get the bead on, you've been doing your fundamental research, you've been watching the news, you kind of have a prediction on how this is going to play out based on past events. That's all fundamental, and that takes a long time to build rather than just technicals, my friend. So if you're just going to trade the technicals, ignore the fundamental events. And last question is going to be Doc USDT. Doc USDT, no go. No go. I like Doc, but we need to see price. We need to see price up above 0.7 of a cent. Need to see it above 0.7 of a cent. Yep. No bullish div, just lower low on Minx, lower low on the daily. It's going to be moving to the upside, but I love Doc. I really do. Doc's made me a lot of money. But buy it when it's trending, man. Buy it when it's trending. It could be oversold right now. This could be an absolutely great time to buy. Let's throw. Let's get funky with it. Let's get swifty with it. All right. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta get swifty. Come on, TradingView. 48.57% ROI. We may never know. Doesn't want to tell us, man. And 5, 4, 3, 2. It's not happening. I don't know if anybody else is having this issue with TradingView. It's been doing this for me for the last few days. Quadrigo just started finally not giving me problems, but and it has to do with the plot labels. I've already emailed their support, so give you guys an update on that as we continue to move forward. So sorry, man. I kind of wanted to pull up the bottom feeder on this and see if it was calling a local bottom, in which case we could kind of emphasize the signal, but doesn't want to play ball. Shoot me a line in the Discord and I'll let you know what the chart says. All right, guys. We did it. We made it to the end, guys. Let's rock. Thank you guys. Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, there's that. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Oh, man, we made it. We made it to the end. Okay, so let's talk turkey here for a second, guys. A lot of excitement, a lot of bullishness coming in, a lot of profits being made this morning. Do the work, okay? This is not the show that I want to watch, that I want you to watch and run out and make another, if you have a penchant of making these, incorrect and ill-advised trading decision. What I want you to do is I want you to look at these charts. I want you to look at the traders in the group. I want you to look at whatever metric that you want. I don't care. But just see the opportunity that's going on. Get the negativity out of your mind. Realize that Bitcoin can and will reach new all-time highs, and it will happen. And you can either be along for that ride or not. But if you don't have a system, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy, you're going to have a bad time. Our friends Trey Parker and Matt Stone would say. So now is the time to put in the work. It's not too late. There's still a lot of excitement. It doesn't matter which way the market's going to go, up, down, left, right, or sideways. Learn to trade. Have that skill. Learn to trade, learn to code, get a side hustle, improve your life. You can do it today, and nobody is going to do it for you. You can do it for you, and you will do it for you. You just need to believe in yourself and go out there and do it. Okay? I don't come from anything. Did this all myself, and you can too. All right, guys? If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or God forbid death threats, please leave them in the comments section down below. I will do my best to respond to you. If you guys would like to join us in the premium trading group, there is a link down in the description below to the website, as well as to our free Discord. If you guys have any questions, let us know and we're happy to chat with you. Okay, we will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for another breakdown of Bitcoin with tomorrow's Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Now I'm going to do the thing. If you guys want to support us, make sure to follow. But it was supposed to work. It was supposed to do the thing. I'm sorry. Yeah, OBS. If you guys want to support the show, make sure to follow our socials. And if you haven't already, subscribe here on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button so we can continue to boost up this YouTube Bitcoin algorithm, which is not very kind to us at times. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. Be excellent to one another and trade safely.